The question that possibly even you in the audience later when you come in you should be thinking about is what is it about corruption in Nigeria that made it an impediment to sustained economic growth and transformation?
The point
and that was not the case in Indonesia.
It's not about Nigeria, no, it's about Africa.
Yes.
Let's talk about Africa. And I'm going to just quote what just came out. It's yet to be released. So it says illicit financial flows from Africa. It's a study done by Global Financial Integrity. It says that, for example, the paper presents estimate of illicit financial flows from Africa in various regions and economic groupings during the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. And the most recent 9-year period between 2000 and 2008, the amount that went out of Africa within this period of study is $854 billion.
Jesus Christ.
$854 billion. Money that ought to go for development and growth for us to catch up with the rest of the world. If you're talking about Indonesia, go and see the history of Indonesia. Money did not flow out of Indonesia. In the case of Africa, we take it out. We remove it from us. We deny our people the chance for us to have this capital for us to grow. That is the evil, the unique nature of corruption in Africa. Unfortunately, we take it out.
From Nuhu's analysis, really, is that corruption is destructive to growth if those who steal invest it abroad, and you suffer sustained capital flight. But if that money is invested at home, then corruption may not be destructive to growth. It may actually promote investment. By the way, I believe that if the thieves don't externalize their theft and they invest at home, corruption will not be destructive to growth.
I don't see it as uniquely African. It certainly is insidious and destructive to Africa's development as it is in every other part of the world that I've worked in. Private equity, which is really investing in individual enterprises from very small to medium to large, is the type of investing that combats corruption because of one very specific thing. Unlike all other types of investing, private equity investors at all levels are investing in companies where once they put their money on the table, they are at risk for an extended period of time. And they have a tremendous incentive to root out corruption because it's the only way they're going to make money. And if I had my druthers, I would have to say that if there's one thing that we can do to both combat corruption and to enhance development in Africa is to build up the private sector through more investment. And the only way it's going to happen is through private equity. I will tell you, because there aren't capital markets, they're not equity markets. And so it's something you should focus on.
When I first got here to Colombia, they told us something about the good man and the bad man. And the idea there is that the law is actually put in place as a deterrent for the bad man. And what you want to rely on is incentive structures for everyone else. I would say that Africa's incentives are not necessarily in the correct place. If your leadership is allowed to operate to where the populace views them as being corrupt, and that is rewarded, then there's no incentive for people to act differently, regardless of what the laws on the books say. So until you start having enforcement of the current laws on the books, I don't think that you're going to be able to actually rely on the legislative or the legal process to help you rein in corruption. Sometimes you don't have to get everybody, but if you get some people who are near the top and you bring them in, you actually prosecute them efficiently, it can send some signals.
If you take any crime, right, what it takes for a crime to occur is to have, somebody with motive and the opportunity. The motive side in Africa, unfortunately, is plenty, right? There's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of need, grossly underpaid public officials, all kinds of extended family obligations. So on the motive side, there is definitely enough there, but motive alone cannot produce corruption. If you have 1 million units of motive and you have zero opportunity, corruption is zero. The real issue is the opportunity side of the equation, right? There is too much opportunity for corruption in Africa, just absolutely too much. First of all, you have too much monopoly of power. Right? You have too much power in the hands of one public official. There are many public offices in Africa. You go there, they say, oh, the guy who does this is on leave. come back in 30 days. When he goes on leave, he locks the cabinet. He's the only person who can do this job. The way in which we design public offices are such that sometimes even the supply of opportunities creates its own demand for corruption. I have friends who work in customs who are otherwise very moral people, right? They go to church and find very moral people. But I have this friend who had to quit because the opportunity for corruption was so much that he just couldn't contain it, and he believes that in fact
he couldn't contain the temptation.
He just couldn't contain the temptation.
There are two forms of corruption in Africa. There is corruption which is a result of greed. You have people who are extremely wealthy who continue to indulge in corrupt practices, and of course it's corruption that is a result of need. You have a police officer who earns $20 a month and cannot feed his or her family.
I'm a police officer all my life. I joined the Nigerian Police Force in 1985, and I disagreed with that belief that people tend to go the corruption because of need. No, it has nothing to do with that. Corruption is a criminal act, and if you talk about a policeman who is getting £20 or dollars as his salary, in a country where maybe 95% are not employed, are unemployed people, you will see the policeman is even advantage. His children goes to the same school with the other 95% of those who don't have no salary at all. They go to the same market. So anyone who receives salary in Africa is even a big man. Corruption is partly, as what my other colleagues said, is a failure of system, not being able to have rules and regulations, accountability, transparency in governance, and so on, as a result of which it gives room for things to just fall apart. Botswana in 1977 or thereabouts, when they were just getting their independence, and they realized that they had these diamonds coming in. The chiefs, the politicians, and everybody, and they invited the bears to come. And they said, this resource is going to come in. Let's prepare for it. Let's have accountability. Let's have transparency in the process. Botswana is the first country to come up with a system through which they will enforce rules and regulations. They went to London and got policemen to come and help them. They opened 2 accounts. Where the money is coming from, it will go directly, and it's not managed by even the government alone. It's a combination of even the civil society involved in it. If you see today what Rwanda is going through, what is happening in Rwanda, it's simply because one individual, Paul Kagame, came and said that, well, we just have to have these rules and we must enforce them.
I think for institutions to work, they must be rooted in the people's traditions and nourished by a society's nutrient culture, and nutrient norms and traditions. If you get a legal regime out of Europe, which is I think what most of Africa has, and superimpose it on a society whose values may actually be, and norms may be different from the requirements of that legal regime, can it work? Do laws work without the social context in which they evolve?
No. Africa has been out of colonialism for a while. I think there's enough time for Africa to have put its own laws into effect. I'm willing to assign, responsibility to colonialism for what has occurred that is in Africa, the same way I'm willing as African American to assign racism its due role in what it's done to American society. But at some point in time, that becomes a hurdle and not a wall, and we need to start getting over that hurdle. The issue really is if I look at something like the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act here in the U.S., and then what's been passed in most of the OECD countries is anti-corruption laws. If I'm Africa trying to get multinational companies to invest and participate in Africa, they cannot, without the fear of imprisonment, if in fact they engage in some things that some of us are saying uniquely African. And so that in itself is going to be a barrier for Africa in order, as it seeks to engage with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world has put up these constructs for the multinational companies that says that there are certain things you can't do. The way it's enforced is not necessarily by beating these companies over the head, it's by making them have to disclose what they do. That's how you create this transparency. The best defense is to say that I had particular compliance mechanisms in place.
Welcome to First View Luxury Hotel. At First View Luxury Hotel, we offer excellent service. Our rooms have all the necessary facilities to make your stay comfortable and memorable. You will also have access to internet service, breakfast, 24-hour power supply, full air condition, free international calls, free tire pumping service, and free car battery charge. So what are you waiting for? Quickly visit First View Luxury Hotel. We are located at number 1 Adeola off Raji Rasaki Road, First Estate, Amuwo, Odofin Festac, Lagos. For more information or reservation, please call us on 080-7578-7135 or 080-9990-0601. You can also take advantage of our online ongoing promo at www.firstviewhotel.com to make your reservation and payment for your favorite room, which attracts a discount rate. Please note, rooms are reserved based on first come, first serve. First View Luxury Hotel. Experience the home of comfort. They come.